On today's Hiwatt Soundbite, we're taking a creative look at the digital delay. Well, I'm working on a really fun remix today, and I want to track some special delays at the end of the song here. So here we go. Without a doubt, the Lexicon PCM42 has been my go-to delay for as long as I can remember. I love the sound of that delay. You know, there are some classic hardware digital delay lines that we can reach for. I'm talking like the Korg SDD 1000, 2000, 3000, all of those delays. The PCM41, the predecessor to the 42, amazing sounding units, all of them. Well, inherent in the design of the original PCM42, and one of the reasons I'm sure I'm so drawn to this delay, the engineers inserted a limiter on the feedback loop. Well, that soft limiter that's been inserted in the feedback loop, what that does is it prevents this particular delay line from ever self-oscillating. Many of you are probably well aware that when you take one of these old digital delay lines, these hardware versions, and you crank that feedback knob, more often than not, if we're talking about like say a Korg SDD 1000 or 2000 or something, even a PCM41 doesn't have the soft limiter on that feedback loop. So normally, when you reach for a hardware delay line and you crank that feedback knob, the sound that you've got feeding that delay will start to feed back on itself, and it will just continue to get uglier and gnarlier, and sometimes that can be a great effect, right? But one of the things that will almost certainly happen with all of these other delay lines I'm talking about, sooner or later they will go into what's called self-oscillation, and that's just literally where the sound ends up becoming so degraded and so grotty that the actual unit goes into what's called self-oscillation, where it just starts kind of like feeding back a tone on itself. Well, the soft limiter that they've inserted on the feedback loop of this PCM42 prevents it from ever doing that. Doesn't matter what you feed into this delay, when you stop that feed and leave that feedback knob full blast, because of that soft limiter, it just slowly, and I'm talking slowly, starts to filter its way out and just slowly disappear into Neverland. It's just one of the few delays that doesn't self-oscillate, and I believe that's one of the reasons I just love this thing so much. You know, I'm so grateful for the manufacturers out there like PSP and other companies that have actually modeled and created plug-in versions of these very delay lines. A lot of you are going to know what I'm talking about, but there is just a very awesome thing about having a tactile feel of knobs when you're talking about throwing down really cool effects, particularly in the live setting. Yeah, I don't think I've been at front of house in the last 20 years without a PCM42 at my side. Just a go-to immediate killer sounding delay, and they're so versatile. I mean, something like a PCM42 can sound like a beautiful reverb. It can absolutely sound like an alien invasion. It's so awesome. So you'll notice on the PCM42 you can enter delay times with these buttons going up and down, or you can just turn this knob. What I often do is I turn this knob all the way to minimum, and then I dial in the time that I'm after. In this case, I'm after 349. 349, all right. So there's my delay time. The reason I like to set this manual control to minimum is so that I can very easily make a change to this time and come back to it. So it just gives me a point of reference where I know when I dial this knob, my manual knob all the way back down to minimum, I'm at the actual delay time that I've gone ahead and programmed into the delay. Really, really cool for special effects. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. During a mix, this is often what I'll do. I'll take some sort of a focused amount of energy and sort of pull out the PCM42 and put some special effects on certain things. And here's a great example of what I'm talking about. I'll just go ahead and track this tail on this vocal. And notice I let just about all of that decay happen, right? Yeah, I just love taking these little bits of delay that I've got and just reversing them and see how they fit into the track. Because some of the neatest things can happen. Like, see what I mean? Like, I didn't even try on this one. As soon as I flipped that track and put it in place, it's just sort of cool. Check it. It is absolutely invaluable to have a physical delay line with real knobs and real buttons on it because it just creates such quick and fast production ideas. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff, and I think that one's probably going to make it in this remix. So another great use of a single channel delay line in your studio is, of course, just to add width to mono tracks. And this has been around for decades. We've been practicing this, right? Where you take that mono track and pan it to one side and then put a single channel delay line on the other side, pan it the opposite. And in this case, I'm sending this mono sound. Let's check out the mono sound first. So I'm sending that mono pan sound to the PCM42 and I've got that return coming back pan the other side. So the delay time I've got entered is really, really short. I'm talking 3 or 4 milliseconds, but I've also got the modulation and depth control all the way up. So that 3 or 4 milliseconds is going up to maybe 10 milliseconds and then down. So it's modulating up and down based on the parameters that I've got set on the internal modulation that it's got built right into it, right? Really, really effective for those widening kind of effects. Check out how it sounds. Yeah, and that detuning that's going on, that's exactly what creates that really big width in your mix. Super, super effective. Yeah, the Lexicon PCM42 has a very special sound that I've definitely gravitated to over my career, but that's not to say that I won't reach for any single channel delay line. Like if I go into a studio and I see it has a Korg SDD 3000 or a PCM41, yeah, it doesn't matter how beat up it is or how many knobs it's missing. Find and secure a single channel hardware delay line for your studio and listen to what happens to your productions.